fine, I'll go it alone. Just like Meghan Markle and Prince Harry.
It's so funny, too, that you keep calling me Megan. You know, it's Megan now.
I feel like the focus is starting to shift off of me. Maybe in editing you'll fix it.
People were saying meh. It's not meh. It's pronounced me. The H is silent.
See, I didn't know who H was. At the time, I just loved his Insta feed.
Sir, your millions from Netflix for no one knows what.
Put it with the rest of them.
Trying to make ourselves into a brand just turned us into products. We don't need to be a brand, do we?
This might be the smallest palace I've ever been in.
An apartment.
I thought we were moving forward, Megan.
Well, we're not.
Dad, do you have any cash for a cab? Oh, look. Grandma's on the money. I never noticed that before.
Babe, time to do our daily $250,000 sponsored Instagram post for Del Taco.
I shouldn't have left the made-up nonsense.
Prince Harry thought the worst was behind them. But now, with South Park reportedly gearing up for a second round of brutal satire, this time zeroing in on Meghan's now infamous pregnancy video, insiders say Harry is visibly shaken and bracing for more humiliation.
I was living in the middle of nowhere in Toronto, Canada, and I didn't even really know the word royal. I mean, besides the Lord song. I love that song. It's an amazing pop rock ballad.
When South Park first took aim at the Duke and Duchess of Sussex in their now iconic worldwide privacy tour skit, it sparked outrage, laughter, and headlines across the globe. But if Harry hoped the cartoon chaos was a one-time punchline, he may be in for another shock. Rumors are swirling that creators Trey Parker and Matt Stone are planning a ruthless follow-up, this time skewering Meghan's controversial social media antics. And Harry, sources claim, is spiraling.
We have to get jobs. I have to start auditioning again.
You were on the very famous show Suits. More popular in the States than even Friends, you told us.
Yeah.
Built electric cars, he's going to Mars. Why is he even involving himself with Twitter? It would be like if the Prince of England gave it all up just to marry an actor from Suits.
From legal strategy meetings to tense phone calls with Hollywood allies, the panic inside Montecito is reportedly very real. And if South Park's track record is anything to go by, the worst may still be to come. Those close to the Duke describe the mood as a cocktail of dread and déjà vu. One confidant whispers that Harry's been rewatching the original episode, trying to gauge how much harder the new jab could land now that it targets Meghan's carefully curated empowerment brand. He's said to be running scenarios with attorneys in both Los Angeles and London, privately acknowledging that parody protections leave little room to block the broadcast, yet still asking whether a preemptive complaint might at least soften the punch.
And something that you taught me is that when we break something and it's broken, it's not broken. It can be healed. There's even more beauty in the break. It still has value.
I'm so sorry, Megan. You have a phone call. It's your father. Thomas Markle?
Meanwhile, staffers claim Montecito's normally serene timetable has flipped into crisis mode. Early morning Zooms reportedly revolve around monitoring leak sites for storyboard snippets and drafting contingency statements that condemn misogynistic humor without appearing thin-skinned. Every draft becomes a tug-of-war, too harsh, and critics will crow that the Sussexes can't take a joke, too mild, and supporters will accuse them of ignoring a sexist smear. Adding to Harry's unease is word that royal courtiers, still bruised from the couple's tell-alls, are quietly amused. A palace source hints that another cartoon drubbing might validate their long-held view that the Sussexes can't outrun satire. For Harry, who's been inching toward a fragile thaw with his father, seeing the firm chuckle from the sidelines is the sting he fears most.
Prince Harry, though, has become the punchline of a Saturday Night Live joke. Let's have a look.
NBC has announced plans for a spinoff to the hit series Suits, which will be set in Los Angeles. It will focus on Meghan Markle's character's struggle to balance her legal career while also caring for an unemployed immigrant.
Insiders say the tension inside Montecito feels unlike any previous crisis. A low-grade buzz that starts before dawn and stretches long after the Pacific sun has dipped. Harry's visibly shaken, one household staffer claims, because this parody threatens to resurrect the ridicule he thought had finally ebbed. According to that source, the Duke now sleeps with his phone on vibrate, jolting awake at random hours to scan encrypted group chats for fresh leaks about South Park's DEI special. He reportedly bounced out of bed at 3 a.m. last Wednesday after a friend texted a blurry storyboard panel, a red-haired prince fussing with a lighting rig while Meghan carts a rubber baby bump across a hospital set. Harry sent back a single reply, "This can't be real," then made 2 calls to London before dawn, seeking reassurance from veteran PR hands who've weathered decades of royal lampooning. But the advice from across the pond, sources say, only deepened his anxiety. One seasoned aide reminded him that royals cannot sue over satire without looking petty, noting how previous attempts to muzzle parody merely turbocharged viewership. Another counselor pointed out that even if Meghan's legal team threatened Paramount, Trey Parker and Matt Stone would likely read the letter on air in a future episode.
Back by changing our brand. All right, and I do see you're in our database, but you didn't first get help at this Cumhammer location?
No, my wife went to one in California as a child.
Ah, okay, then you must be in the national system. Oh yeah, is this you? Sorority girl, actress, influencer, victim.
Yeah, that's totally me.
Okay, I see. And then you added your husband to your friends and family account. You must be the royal prince, millionaire, world traveler victim.
That's right.
The implication hit hard. Silence might be the least damaging option, yet silence feels to Harry like surrender. Back at the compound, the Duke has reportedly taken to pacing the garden lawn, earbuds blasting meditative playlists while he rehearses. Potential talking points for an emergency sit-down interview, something that could, in theory, reframe the narrative before South Park airs. He's torn, confidants insist. Speak out and risk fueling the hype, or keep quiet and endure another global meme storm. Meanwhile, aides have erected what one calls a digital moat, limiting Harry's time on social media dashboards so he doesn't spiral over each new hashtag Prince parody gif. Even so, he's said to sneak glances at trending pages on a spare iPad, each fresh joke landing like a jab. For a man who once walked behind his mother's coffin with stoic composure, it's the helplessness that stings most. Knowing the punchline is locked in an animation studio, ticking toward broadcast, and there's nothing a duke, a prince, or even a panicked father can do to stop it. Trey Parker and Matt Stone are reportedly salivating over Meghan's viral pregnancy twerk reel because it offers everything South Park loves in a target, a head-spinning mix of sincerity, spectacle, and social media grandstanding. According to someone who's read an early table draft, the new segment, working title Respect Our Pregnancy, opens on a quasi-Netflix set where a fictional Meghan rehearses dance moves while production assistants adjust ring lights. The animated Harry hovers off camera with a clipboard, anxiously suggesting more empowerment between takes. In classic South Park fashion, the creators aren't simply mocking a video, they're skewering the couple's whole aesthetic of curated authenticity, turning what Meghan pitched as a spontaneous celebration of motherhood into a meticulously choreographed stunt.
You know, why jam, Tom? Why jam? Why jam, you know? Does she want to be, seen as a traditional wife now rather than a grand humanitarian politico? Tom,
I mean, if she does, good on her. I'm
half winding you up now. You must know that. You must know that.
Rumor has it, the writer's room calls the pregnancy bump the pillow of truth. Every time Meghan's cartoon bump jiggles, a flashing subtitle allegedly pops up. Scripted moment, hammering the idea that nothing in their public life is left to chance. One storyboard square even shows Cartman Kennedy, the satirical studio boss who first roasted Hollywood virtue projects, shouting, "Cue the tears, we need vulnerable sparkle," while bribing cameramen with oat milk lattes. It's relentless. Insiders say, a shot-for-shot exaggeration of the leaked behind-the-scenes clips Meghan never wanted the public to see, reimagined with the subtlety of a sledgehammer. For Harry, that specificity is the nightmare. Satire hits hardest when it mirrors whispers you're already trying to quiet. He spent months brushing off claims the twerk video was carefully lit, arguing it was just 2 expectant parents capturing joy on a phone. South Park plans to blow that defense apart by showing lighting grids, call sheets, even a fake intimacy coordinator measuring how far the bump can bounce before optics feel exploitive. The Duke reportedly fears viewers won't separate cartoon fantasy from real-world rumor. Once people laugh at the idea the pregnancy dance was staged, they may start re-examining every candid Sussex moment. Netflix doc scenes, Archie-Well photo drops, even daytime talk anecdotes about morning chaos. That's why insiders say Harry's jittery. The skit isn't just teasing a goofy clip. It's threatening to label the couple's brand, permanently, as one long performative rehearsal. And once that narrative calcifies in pop culture, no amount of heartfelt podcasts or carefully lit Instagram lives may scrub it away. The Montecito briefing room, usually reserved for tidy Zoom check-ins, has morphed into what one aide calls a daytime war bunker. Screens flash social listening dashboards, South Park subreddit feeds, and a rolling doc titled Potential Response Paths, version 17.
When was the last time you twerked, Alex?
I don't think I've ever twerked in my life.
You must have.
Really? I genuinely mean that. If there's any footage that ever comes out of me twerking, I'll pay for all your pints one night. How about that?
Meghan, she's an American celebrity, so I can kind of forgive her for it.
It's definitely her idea.
She's like, Prince Harry is a prince of the realm. You imagine the centuries of history and tradition in this country, the respectful organisations that he was or is an ambassador of, the military, and you're behaving like that and happy to release it in public. I mean, it's just so demeaning.
Yeah, she's a narcissist and he's quite thick.
According to staffers, every meeting starts the same. Harry appears first, clutching coffee and scrolling his phone. Meghan follows, jaw tight, demanding updates on what they have and how they got it. Crisis PR consultants dial in from London and LA, trading risk matrices while junior assistants mute their mics and take furious notes. First on the agenda is legality. A Beverly Hills attorney presents a bulletproof summary. Fair use precedent, parody exemptions, why lawsuits backfire. Meghan pushes, what about emotional distress tied to prenatal mockery? The lawyer gently replies that courts have sided with satirists even when cartoons depict childbirth. The room falls into uneasy silence. A junior publicist suggests a strongly worded statement condemning misogynistic humor. Another counters that framing the skit as anti-woman risks overshadowing Meghan's own feminist messaging. Critics will say she's weaponizing empowerment to dodge jokes. Harry sits through this volley, tapping a pen until finally blurting, "We're arguing punchlines while the world watches us squirm." Next comes media strategy. One faction argues for a preemptive TV appearance, perhaps a morning show sit down, where Harry and Meghan laugh it off, then pivot to charity talk. Skeptics caution that South Park could splice any chuckle into a future episode. Imagine a cartoon Harry giggling on loop while animated producers yell, "Cut again." The alternative, total silence, sparks its own panic. Silence after outrage reads guilty, warns a New York crisis coach. A vacuum invites memes. Budget realities intrude. The head of finance reminds everyone that paid influencer campaigns would cost mid-six figures, as Ever's cash flow can't absorb that until autumn. An idea to leak wholesome family photos is shelved when someone points out paparazzi will question why Archie and Lily never appear together in public shot. As the meeting drags past the 2-hour mark, the projector freezes on a paused frame from the rumored storyboard. Cartoon Meghan mid-twerk, Harry fussing with a ring light, no one speaks. Finally, Meghan closes her laptop with a soft click and says, "Figure out something that doesn't make things worse." The call ends, leaving. Advisors staring at blank screens realizing something may not exist. Harry's lawyers have scoured every corner of Anglo-American case law looking for a lever, any lever, that might pry South Park's parody off the schedule. Their internal memo, according to a Montecito insider who skimmed it, reads like a graveyard of dashed hopes.
But you're the same.
You're the same.
Like, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Like, guys, you don't gotta do this. Please, I'm begging you to stop.
The first tactic, claiming defamation, collapsed when counsel acknowledged the pregnancy dance clip sits on Meghan's own social feed. You can't libel someone by exaggerating a video they published themselves, notes one sardonic paragraph. A second gambit, invoking UK privacy standards, dies on the next page. Paramount operates under US law. California juries trust parody more than princes. Undeterred, a junior associate floated the idea of leaning on royal protocol. Could the palace, as fount of honor, object to a false portrayal of a duke in official title? The answer came back blistering. Once Harry stepped away from working royal status, any ceremonial shield became largely symbolic. Besides, even active royals seldom sue for satire. The Windsor file on comic mockery is a dusty drawer of resignation letters, not injunctions. The memo cites a forgotten 90s case where a tabloid cartoon showed the Queen tap dancing on corgis. Buckingham grumbled but never litigated. If Elizabeth II endured cartoon corgi side, the note implies, California courts will expect Sussex stoicism over an animated pillow bump. Someone then suggested a child protection angle. Could referencing an unborn baby constitute harassment of a minor? Counsel replied that U.S. precedent protects commentary on public pregnancy announcements, however tasteless. In a margin scrawl, a senior partner added, "Fair use plus First Amendment equals fortress." The phrase has since become gallows humor among staff. "Montague you later in the fortress," they joke when signing off late-night emails. With courtrooms closed, advisors turned their gaze to the palace. Perhaps, they mused, a discreet word from King Charles could persuade Paramount to tone down royal elements. But palace insiders, according to Harry's London solicitor, view the new parody as Sussex fallout they have no duty to address.
By the way, I love your Luke.
Sorry, what's that?
Your Luke. You look amazing. Your Luke.
My Luke. My Luke. My
Yes.
look. She likes my Luke.
One courtier reportedly sniffed, "If the Duke sells candles of his family trauma, he must weather caricature." Translation: Windsor won't spend goodwill shielding an ex-royal from a joke that flows directly from his own household's content. The legal memo ends with a single bleak sentence: recommend reputational mitigation, not prohibition. In plain English, that means dust off the crisis PR manuals, because the law can't pull the plug. Harry's first instinct, insiders say, was to rally every friendly contact in Los Angeles. Producers he'd met at Netflix mixers, studio heads who once flirted with Invictus documentaries, the odd A-list neighbor who occasionally waves across Montecito hedges. By midweek, his phone log looked like a casting sheet: big-name showrunner, streaming platform VP, Marvel alumnus, ex-studio publicist. The ask was never explicit. No one can strong-arm Trey and Matt. But Harry's tone, sources claim, carried an unmistakable plea. If you have any pull at Paramount, can you at least find out how savage this is going to be? The responses ranged from sympathetic silence to awkward honesty. One director pal reportedly warned that South Park thrives on industry pushback. Any backstage lobbying would leak, turn into a joke, and extend the shelf life of the humiliation. A former late-night host told Harry the cartoon's creators were comedy untouchables, Hollywood's uncancelable jesters, so leaning on studio favors was like spritzing lighter fluid on a bonfire. Even a friendly Montecito neighbor, a well-known actress who once praised Meghan publicly, advised Harry to brace for impact rather than chase favors unlikely to materialize. Still, a mini-campaign took shape. PR allies floated the idea of a cameo swap. Offer Harry for a heartfelt veterans segment on a Paramount morning show in exchange for trimming the most brutal Cartman-Kennedy lines. Marketing executives smiled politely and changed the subject. Another strategist suggested leveraging Harry's upcoming mental health summit. Paramount has philanthropic arms after all, but the network's legal team quietly signaled that editorial independence trumps goodwill programming.
But to the world, it's just, what has she been doing? Does she work? As opposed to, oh my gosh, I work so hard.
Meanwhile, Meghan's circle tried tapping lifestyle influencers she'd once courted with free-as-ever product. The ask: post preemptive body positivity messages framing the parody as tired misogyny. Some influencers hesitated. Alienating South Park's vast meme army is bad for engagement. Others requested 5-figure fees Meghan's budget can't spare. A well-liked wellness coach politely declined, telling a friend, "I love Meg, but the internet's in roast mode. I'm not stepping into that crossfire." By week's end, Harry's outreach tally had produced plenty of empathy, zero leverage. Hollywood may sympathize with a rattled prince, but not at the cost of canceling a ratings slam dunk. As one veteran agent texted an associate, "This town respects hustle. South Park's hustle just outranks theirs." Rumors filtering back to London suggest Buckingham courtiers are tracking the impending episode with morbid fascination, equal parts schadenfreude and strategic concern. One aide claims that when whispers of the new parody reached the private secretary's inbox, the note was forwarded with a single dry comment: "Brace for headlines, but no intervention." In practical terms, that means the palace PR machine will let the Sussexes fight this one alone. The monarch's communications team has reportedly agreed on a standing line, no comment on satirical programming, and instructed press officers to deflect every inquiry. For Harry, that official shrug lands like a fresh bruise. He has been inching toward reconciliation, a brief father-son visit at Clarence House, tentative talks about a Commonwealth charity tie-in. Courtiers now fear a second South Park lampoon could reset that progress to zero. It isn't that the king despises satire, it's that another wave of caricature risks turning the family's next public appearance, say a Remembrance Day balcony, into meme fodder. One royal watcher says Charles won't jeopardize solemn engagements by sharing the stage with a son fresh off cartoon ridicule. Palace protocol can absorb many embarrassments, but not repeated slapstick airing on global streaming platforms. William's circle is said to be quietly resigned. The Prince of Wales, insiders whisper, sees the looming episode as predictable fallout from a media-monetized lifestyle.
These two are now an international embarrassment for the royal family, and I really, really do think that the time has come to strip the titles.
According to one senior aide, William's private stance is, if Harry keeps feeding the beast will keep eating. Translation, sympathy is low. Yet there's also practical dread. Every jab at Meghan inevitably rebounds on the Windsors, because global audiences conflate the entire House of Windsor with whichever royal is trending. Palace staff are already drafting contingency Q&As for foreign correspondents. Why can't the king step in? Does the crown still support Harry's patronages? Are Archie and Lilibet affected? Even silence requires prepared silence. Add to this, a whisper campaign that certain Tory MPs relish another Sussex lampoon. They believe it blunts Republican sentiments by showing monarchy critics as celebrity opportunists. If parliamentarians chuckle while the Duke chafes, internal Windsor politics grow even thornier. Harry, already visibly shaken, realizes each South Park gag widens the moat he's trying to bridge back to his family. One aide summarizes his predicament in a single sentence. The louder the cartoon laughs, the quieter royal phones become. The minute gossip blogs leaked South Park's pregnancy parody angle, the internet split into tribal camps. Within hours, #Prince Parody vaulted up X's worldwide chart. Memes of cartoon Harry fumbling with a ring light spliced alongside actual stills from his Netflix doc. A counter hashtag sprang up just as fast. #Leave Harry alone, spearheaded by Sussex supporters who insist mocking an expectant father borders on cruelty. That hashtag joust turned the timeline into trench warfare. One trending panel showed side-by-side GIFs. Harry solemn at a veterans gala versus an imagined South Park prince tripping over cables, while Meghan's animated bump jiggled on loop. TikTok piled on. Comedy creators stitched themselves into faux behind-the-scenes footage, pretending to be harried PAs counting Meghan's twerks, while Cartman Kennedy howled, "More empowerment." The clip template spread like a dance challenge, each new duet resetting the countdown clock on Harry's embarrassment.
You've lived a life with the royal family, you've had everything handed to you, but you say your life has been hard, and now you've written all about it in your new book, Where?
My name is Megan Sussex now. Call me Meghan Markle one more time, Mindy.
Yes, that's right, friend. You see, my wife and I are totally like, you should write a book because your family's like stupid, and then so are like journalists.
By midweek, social analytics firms clocked over 100 million impressions tied to the rumored episode, before Paramount had posted a single official promo. Digital agency veterans note the kind of organic lift usually costs studios 7-figure ad buys. South Park scored it free, courtesy of royal anxiety leaking into cyberspace. More worrying for Montecito strategists is how swiftly conspiracy sub-forums weaponized the chatter. Threads revived every old skepticism, from pillow bump theories to doctored birth certificate claims, now repackaged as evidence the pregnancy parody is basically documentary. Commenters splice Meghan's real-life reel with grainy paparazzi shots, overlaying text that reads, "Staged?" Each post births a new rabbit hole, and Harry's name trends alongside phrases like royal fraud and brand meltdown. Even neutral parenting influencers are dragged into duets, forced to take sides under threat of being ratioed. Meanwhile, Instagram fan pages that once curated Sussex positivity pivot to cautious distance, limiting comments, disabling story replies, waiting to see which way the backlash wind blows. A social listening snippet posted in Meghan's PR Slack shows sentiment slipping. Positive chatter about her empowerment narrative down 14%, neutral curiosity converting into mockery after each meme cycle. Crisis advisors know algorithms reward momentum. The challenge is stopping a laugh spiral without feeding it. But as one data strategist warns Harry in a midnight email, every hashtag you fight doubles its reach. The only variable now is how loud the punchline lands when the episode finally airs. Rivals in the crisis management trade like to say reputations bleed in two ways: slow leaks or single punctures. Harry faces both at once. Invictus sponsors, already jittery after the last South Park hit, are reportedly asking for fresh tone-of-voice assurances. One European apparel partner quietly requested that its logo appear only on event backdrops, no longer on athlete singlets, until post-broadcast sentiment stabilizes. A California tech donor, approached to bankroll the next mental health summit, is said to have delayed signatures, fearing screenshots of a cartoon Harry might overshadow its serious wellness branding. Add Meghan's still fragile as ever venture, and the picture sharpens.
So you hate journalists? That's right. And now you wrote a book that reports on the lives of the royal family. Right. So you're a journalist.
Any type of flower arranging is just telling a story. What story do you want to tell? Maybe leave the country. Maybe disown your dad. Be creative with it.
Every punchline threatens multiple revenue streams, not just personal pride. advisors sketch 2 redemption pathways. Path 1, lean into humility. Allow the episode to air, then release a brief, lightly self-deprecating video. Harry and Meghan strolling a beach, laughing that parenthood makes us all targets, before pivoting to Invictus heroes or literacy drives. The argument, relatability diffuses satire. If Harry shows he can chuckle at an animated version of himself, corporate partners may applaud the resilience and stick around. Critics might still poke fun, but the story shifts from fragile royals humiliated to public figures unfazed. Path 2, transform ridicule into purpose. Wait 48 hours, then launch a campaign spotlighting online harassment of new parents. Frame the parody as a teachable moment on empathy. Invite child health NGOs to co-sign and donate ad revenue from the pregnancy video to maternal care charities. In theory, this flips laughter into legacy. Sponsors get cause marketing, Meghan's empowerment brand regains moral footing, and Harry appears as protector rather than punchline. The risk? Audiences smell opportunism. If timing feels too strategic, #mocktivism accusations could trend harder than the original memes. Beneath the PowerPoint optimism, a harsher reality lurks. There's no fixing perception if South Park's segment lands a cultural catchphrase. Some quick, brutal line that sticks to Harry like gum on a boot. Once a meme calcifies, brands shy away regardless of charity tie-ins. A veteran reputation broker told a Sussex aide, "After privacy tour, you had wiggle room. A second hit? That's concrete." Harry knows it. Every brainstorming session circles back to the same dread. If the cartoon crowns him clueless prince forever, redemption arcs become uphill marathons, each sponsorship pitch starting with a nervous laugh and a promise that this time, nobody's twerking under studio lights. South Park's animators have already locked the reel. Paramount's promo clock is counting down. Meme engines are primed to detonate the instant the closing credits roll. All Harry can do now is choose how, or whether, to step into the blast. If he gambles on a humble grin and lets the joke ride, he risks cementing the image of a once earnest prince reduced to comic relief. If he rallies a moral crusade, every headline will scream that he and Meghan still can't take a joke. And if he hides until the noise subsides, silence itself becomes proof that the Duchess's dance really was more stagecraft than spontaneity. In other words, every door creaks louder than the last. Meanwhile, palace aides take quiet bets on how many days it will take before the Windsor news cycle. Care home visits? Commonwealth trade pitch? Is hijacked by a looping gif of cartoon Harry fumbling with a fake bump. Corporate partners eye-risk matrices. Is the Sussex brand still aspirational, or has it slipped into perpetual punchline territory? Even friendly Hollywood neighbors who once raved about Meghan's loveliness weigh whether a public show of support could backfire into their own Twitter pile-on. One veteran agent sums it up in studio shorthand: the cost of association just went up, the upside stayed flat, so the stage is set. A Colorado animation house versus a California compound. Free speech satire squaring off against reputation management. In a matter of weeks, viewers will decide whether this episode is merely another laugh in the pop culture churn, or the moment Harry and Meghan's carefully tended narrative tilts into permanent caricature. When the laughter dies down, sponsors will run the numbers. Palace courtiers will update their talking points, and the Duke will have to wake up to whatever version of himself the internet decides is canon. Now, the question lands with you. Should Harry meet the mockery head-on with a dose of self-deprecating humility, or would any reaction just pour jet fuel on South Park's fire? And beyond the Sussex saga, where do you draw the line between fair parody and punching down, especially when parenthood enters the frame? Drop your take in the comments, smash that like if you're here for every inside twist, and make sure you're subscribed. The next deep dive is already in production, and trust me, you won't believe what's coming next.